Hey folks, it's been another deadly weekend here in South Africa with multiple people being killed in several incidents across the country. ENCA has released a comprehensive report about the incidents, so let's get started and see exactly what happened.
Police are on the hunt for those involved in a mass shooting in New Brighton in the Eastern Cape. It's understood 6 people were shot dead in a house alleged to be a drug den. The motive for the shooting is still unclear at the moment. Meanwhile, in KZN, 11 people were shot and killed over the weekend. In the one incident, an attacker opened fire at a group of men sitting on the veranda of a tuck shop. Let's go to our reporters, Ronald Masinda in the Eastern Cape and Mobile Madlala, who is in KZN for us. Ronald, let me start with you in the Eastern Cape there. So what do we know so far about the crime scene itself?
Masako, good morning. So from the information we are receiving, the shooting took place in the early hours of Saturday morning. Residents heard gunshots between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. It was just hours later when some of the residents made their way to the house to a gruesome discovery of 6 people who have died, 3 males, 3 females. The first initial bodies that were seen were of 4 people lying, their lifeless bodies lying on the front or the lounge of the house. Then another body was discovered in a kitchen, and then the other was also discovered in a bedroom. Now, the body that was discovered in the bedroom had also a 3-year-old child. Now, we are led to believe that that child was unharmed, but what we also are hearing is gruesome details of how some of the victims were also stabbed and shot during that time where this incident took place. We also understand that the owner of the property was running a car mechanics business, but police are also getting information from the public that there were also drugs sold inside that property. The police are saying that this is new information from what they've received from the public, but the police are saying that this is information that they should have been given way ahead, and perhaps this could have prevented this particular incident from taking place. We also understand that the house itself was also ransacked by those who are behind this particular incident. We heard from the District Commissioner, Vuyisile Nata, explaining earlier.
Currently, the motive is being under investigation. We are looking at various information that we have received so far, but we know very soon we will be aware and know through our investigation as to what was the purpose and the motive that led to the killing of these people here inside the house. But we are investigating.
We do understand that this was also a drug den, according to some of the residents here. Then the question lies, Mr. Nata, why didn't the police act when they could have?
In fact, the police were not aware that this place is a drug den. According to our information, is that is a place where the mechanic lives, where he works on cars, and people or his friends come and also smoke here. And we are disappointed that the community was aware but did not actually share that information with the police. I think had they done that, would not be standing here talking about the people that are killed in a alleged drug den. The police were not aware.
One of the reasons that crime, and particularly violent crime, in South Africa is so high, well, actually there's 2 reasons. Our police tend to be reactive, which means that they do very little preemptive investigation, and they wait for crimes to happen before doing anything about them. It is common for cops like the one being interviewed here to blame the community for not working with the police and not giving them information. The other reason is that cops aren't given information because in many cases local communities do not trust the police. Having worked directly with the South African police services in my time as a journalist, I can tell you myself that unless I know a cop on a personal basis, I don't automatically trust them, because the reality is that our police are poorly trained, often incompetent, and just as likely to be criminals themselves. In fact, for the criminal element within the South African Police Service, having a uniform and a badge and a police vehicle just allows them to be more efficient in their own criminal activities. So that's why civilians tend not to trust or cooperate with them.
And Ronald, did they raise, police that is, did they raise any concern about the rising levels of violent crime in the province?
Yeah, so crime is cause for concern. I mean, the area that we're in, my colleague Nabantlanganis was telling me earlier that ambulance vehicles have to be escorted when they have to attend to serious issues here in this particular area, and they have to be escorted near the police station where we're at in New Brighton. We've also been hearing stories of other crimes taking place, business robberies also taking place here, but also just very recently in Kariega, formerly known as Uitenhage, 9 people were shot and killed last month. We also have been told about a particular business robbery that took place in Motherwell recently, where people came with guns wearing the attire of petrol attendants. The police are also investigating that matter, but the province itself has serious issues with crime, various crimes, areas like Lusikisiki, for example. That area is known as the rape capital of South Africa. So many concerns here in the Eastern Cape, but we do know that at this stage is that this particular matter is being investigated. No arrests have yet been made.
All right, Ronald, let's move from you there in the Eastern Cape and go to Nqobile Madlala, who's covering KZN. Also a bloody weekend there in Nqobile, 11 people killed just in one weekend. What can you tell us about this crime?
Well, Maseko, I can tell you that the Premier of KZN is already concerned about what has happened over the weekend. In fact, she said that she wants the police to make sure that they check every single part of the province and try and find the perpetrators. But where we are in Indwedwe. And I just want to show you, Maseko, these houses that you see here, all 3 of them, basically have lost their sons, and it seems they were together on the day when the shooting happened. Now we are hearing from the families that one from this house and the green house decided to go past the pink house just further down to ask for the gentleman to walk him to a tuck shop with.
Just to clarify, a tuck shop is basically a small convenience store. Americans might think of it as like a bodega, I suppose.
They were going to buy some kind of a voucher, but then it was when they arrived at the tuck shop and not long after that, that some men that came in a white car, we are being told, just came in and opened fire to everybody that was in the veranda. Of course, the family is still very much shook. They're worried about what has happened. The area in itself is still worried in terms of how did this happen? Why did it happen? Nobody currently knows. But we do know that from the family, they're just saying that they want to know what really happened. They want those answers from the officials. They want the police to investigate. But as to what caused it, nobody really knows, because they're saying this is quite a calm place. And most of the time, they've never had to deal with such issues. So this is the first of its kind. And so a lot of them are still shocked. But we did speak to the family member, and she did tell us a little bit more about Tobisi, who was one of the gentlemen that were shot at on Saturday.
This is really becoming a pattern of sorts, in that the increase in violent crime where no motive is known is on the rise. And random or seemingly random crime like this is the most dangerous, because it can strike at any time without warning, and anyone can fall victim to it, because as we see repeatedly over time, when this kind of thing happens, the perpetrators seem to just fire indiscriminately into communities. And South African criminals of this nature really have they don't value human life whatsoever. To them, killing you for something as simple or trivial as your cell phone means nothing. So what this does is create a constant sense of paranoia and anxiety, which we all have to live with.
And Ngobile, what are police saying about this? Did you get a chance to speak to the police?
So Jay Naik is speaking to us about the fact that the area, first of all, doesn't have quite a number of crime issues. In fact, we did even get to speak to the mayor, who also explained to us that even when they have their own meetings, they're being told that the area doesn't really have crime-related issues, gun-related issues. So this there to them came as a shock. But we do know that the police are saying that they are still looking for witnesses. They are still trying to figure out and piece together the information that they're trying to get from the community. But you can imagine, if you're coming from a place, Masego, that's very quiet, that quite a number of people, as shocked as they are, they will also be scared to come forward and explain what really happened, because they're scared for their lives. I mean, we heard that also the tuck shop owner, just immediately after that, he got so scared that he decided to close down the tuck shop and just move out completely, took everything of his and just get out, because he still doesn't understand what was the issue. Of course, this has left a lot of families looking for answers, but a lot of them just concerned in terms of what is this area becoming and what can officials give them.
This goes back to what I said earlier about the lack of trust and the general sense in South African communities that the police are simply either unable or unwilling to protect us. I myself have been the victim of a violent crime. A number of years ago, I was leaving home, where I am now, for a meeting, and my cousin and myself were the victims of a home invasion, where a guy came in and threatened us with a knife and attempted to rob us. And if my colleague that day, who was expecting me to attend this meeting, hadn't gotten suspicious and come armed with a gun to check where I was and see if I was okay, there's a very good chance I might not be here today talking to you right now. And I'm sad to say that in most criminal cases, all the police really are glorified body fetchers. They are the very last ones to show up, and they either collect the bodies or collect criminals which civilians have already apprehended. So, sad as it is to say, I don't really have any faith in the police either. This is not to say that there aren't good cops still on the force, because I know for a fact that there are. It's just that they are outnumbered by the useless, incompetent, and criminal ones.
And in fact, we do have that a small snippet of your interview with the police spokesperson, Jay Naika. Maybe we could just have the viewers just listen in on that.
Group of individuals were standing in that small veranda. They're taking cover from the rain when unknown gunmen approached them and opened fire on them. The suspects just fired indiscriminately into the group. They then jumped into their vehicle and they fled the scene. 4 people died here at the scene. 3 were taken to hospital, and of the 3, 1 passed away in hospital.
But this is, of course, not the only incident that happened over the weekend. What was happening also?
We had another incident in Claremont on Friday night where 6 people were killed. They were sitting in a room in an informal settlement in Claremont when unknown gunmen opened fire on them. There were 7 people there. 6 of them died and 1 was injured and taken to hospital.
Right, Mobile Madlala live for us in KZN in Ndwedwe, as well as Ronald Masinda in the Eastern Cape and New Brighton. Thank you both very much.
I take no joy in covering events such as these, but I feel it's important to try to make an honest record of the path that South Africa is on. People outside of this country, friends in other parts of the world, have often asked me if I can't move to a safer part of South Africa. But the reality is, there is no safe part of South Africa. Now, I don't mean to say that there aren't safer places and more dangerous places, because like every country, there are those differences. But generally speaking, you can be the victim of a violent crime no matter where you are in this country, and that's simply the truth. So I want people to be aware, particularly if they have plans to visit South Africa, what they are letting themselves in for, potentially. Anyway, that's all for now, and for now, farewell.